Almost every small business or startup is looking for a tool system structure, a cohesive approach to having that innovative and creative organization. Now, innovation and creativity may not necessarily lead to profitability, but the main focus on this video is going to be how to establish or how to put in place structures that intend to create that innovative and creative environment we would all want for our businesses. So the approach we are going to use here is founded on the perception that proper management of knowledge in an organization makes it become a learning organization. And when knowledge is properly managed, organizations have a more competitive edge and are able to be more innovative. Now, for this video, when we refer to knowledge, we are talking about, say, what the individuals within the organization know about their products, know about their processes, know about their mistakes, know about their successes. It's information about what is relevant to the overall objectives and vision of the organization and the tools that were used to garner that information. So, to structure how we are going to develop that innovative and creative startup using this particular approach, we are going to look at various factors and approaches such as community of practice, intellectual capital, and soft systems thinking, all in relation to knowledge as defined earlier in the video. So, a community of practice, for example, refers to having a group of people who are passionate about a particular subject or project and learn together how to improve upon that particular project, or in this case, business activity, by interacting regularly within the organization. Now, often these groups of people come together as a result of maybe they have common passions, common interests, and these communities are usually formed informally and they are voluntarily done, as against maybe putting a group of people together to meet a certain objective. And as an organization, it's important to create that environment that encourages people from various departments, etc., to interact and discuss issues relating to the company and relating to maybe challenges the company is facing. When it comes to communities of practice, usually the individuals come together voluntarily as a result of common interests, common passions, common goals, as against coming together because it is your obligation or your role or your responsibility or your job description to have that team put together. And what that does is there's enthusiasm with these groups because it's voluntarily done and the people come together as a result of vested common interests or maybe common traits they feel they have, and usually these groups come with a certain level of enthusiasm. So as a company, it's important to create an environment that encourages communities of practice or community of practice, whereby people can come together and relate and interact and discuss various issues relating to the business, or try to identify various challenges relating to the business and come up with solutions that can solve those challenges. And it's important as a company to have a system that accommodates the solutions that these groups come up with and implements them. Otherwise, there would be no point forming these groups in the first place. Now, with most of these activities, obviously you have your pros and cons. Now, the emphasis here is on the pros. So, for community of practice, what you notice is that usually when you develop that environment discussed earlier, you begin to see an organization that can drive strategy, that can create new lines of business, an organization that is better with problem solving, an organization that promotes the spread of best practices, an organization that literally develops people's professional skills. Because when it comes to communities of practice, the activities are usually very practical, and an organization that can also help the company recruit and retain talent, as these activities do help retain talent, and also the solutions and ideas that may be brought up will help recruit the best possible or available talent. Now, through the community of practice, you'd realize that you generated a knowledge base that can create wealth, thus can give the company intellectual capital. Now, to be considered intellectual capital, the knowledge must be an asset that is able to create wealth for the business, technically. Now, the whole concept of intellectual capital, the definition of intellectual capital, is literally information that changes raw materials into a competitive advantage or a sustainable competitive advantage. And by that, you are looking at what the company is able to do with the resources it has, which is people, customers, processes, and these are what make up intellectual capital. Now, to develop this innovative and creative environment, it's important for the leaders to be able to create the proper environment by looking at the organization as one system, and the different teams and departments as elements that interconnect and function together to achieve the overall goal of the organization. And this is where soft systems thinking comes in. So, soft systems thinking literally involves pinpointing the right questions to tackle when you are transforming knowledge to achieve the desired results and create wealth. Now, this video takes the approach that knowledge is essentially the foundation, or one of the primary foundations upon which value is created and profitability is generated in an organization. And to create this knowledge or manage this knowledge effectively, you need to learn to employ community of practice, intellectual capital, and soft system thinking effectively to help your small business or startup grow effectively. And it's possible to just Google these things and find out how people go about the various processes, because as we always say, every organization is unique on its own, and it's not a certainty that this will work, but it does provide some perception and basis and foundation and structure on which we can build a more innovative, sustainable organization.